Thank you so much for waiting. We have had, I think, sort of 2, maybe 3 seasons in the last 5 minutes of snow outside. Now it's really sun shining, so whatever the weather, thank you so much for making the effort to come here today and attend our guest speaker event, Women in Construction and Engineering. So just some brief introductions from the organisers of this event today. So I'm Rachel Westwood. I am an employability advisor and I am based within the Natural and Built Environment Department. So if you're not from that department, that does cover the construction courses such as surveying, quantity surveying, building surveying, also architecture and geography, environmental and planning courses. I'm just going to hand over to my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Caroline Hanson and I'm employability advisor with engineering, maths and physics. So very pleased to welcome you all here today.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Rachel Leonard, so I'm employer facing, so I'm an employee partnerships officer and I work I cover the natural and built environment and support that department with speaking to employers on a daily basis, encouraging them to add jobs, placements onto Handshake and get involved with all activities that when they're coming on campus and events, things like that. Thank you.
So just a few housekeeping things to let you know about. There are no scheduled fire alarms today. We do hear the fire alarm. There's a fire exit just there and also downstairs, also through the main double doors that I think you all came in earlier on today. There is just one toilet in this building that is just downstairs. If you head downstairs, rather than going out the double doors, or if you head the other way, there is a toilet there, clearly signed accessible toilet. Refreshments are provided throughout this event, and there will also be around 1 o'clock some pizza arriving, so that should just have a bit of a lunch with us as well. So please do help yourselves to drinks. So the agenda today then, so we've done the introductions. We're going to hear very shortly from our guest speakers who are here today. And then also at the end, we're just going to sort of give you a little bit of further information and resources and sort of a bit of background as well as to why we've put on this event. What was the purpose of running an event like this for you students? So also followed again by refreshments and pizza and the opportunity to network and speak to and ask questions on a small group or a one-to-one basis with our fantastic panel of employers as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Katie Robinson, Project Manager at East Riding of Yorkshire Council. Here you go, Katie. Thank you very much. We can either come up, or if you want to pop a chair there if you still want to sit, that's just so everybody can see you. Yeah, always a chair here, whatever you're most comfortable with. Lovely.
So yeah, thank you everyone for attending. My name is Kate Robinson. I'm a project manager at East Riding Yorkshire Council, which is a local authority. So in terms of project management, that's from the client side. So we get contractors in to do all of our work basically. I'm also a student here at Sheffield Hallam. I'm in my 4th year part-time degree in construction project management. So in terms of my career journey, I've worked in construction for nearly 6 years now. So I started in the industry as an apprentice quantity surveyor, working for a local subcontractor near where I live in Hull. We did predominantly kind of groundworks for big developers, so like Barratt Homes, Persimmon Homes, things like that. And I did about 2.5 years as an apprentice and an assistant QS. Before moving over to my current employers, East Riding Yorkshire Council as an assistant project manager. And then after a couple of years as an assistant, I was promoted to a project manager. And throughout my career, I studied alongside. So during my apprenticeship, it was a level 3 apprenticeship, so I did a BTEC in construction alongside. And then I did a HNC and then moved over to do a bachelor's here at Sheffield. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Construction is a difficult industry for anyone to work in, but especially women. But it is a really brilliant industry to work in and it shouldn't scare you off at all. There's a number of challenges that I think a fair number of the panellists will be able to agree with me that we've all faced. Imposter syndrome, constantly being told that you need to toughen up, general patronising behaviour, unequal pay, things like that. But with more women in the industry, we can change that, and that's why it's really important that we do encourage more women in. And despite the challenges, it is an industry that I'm really passionate about. So the whole built environment, everything about that is just something I'm really interested in. Advice I have for people wanting to join the industry, the main one is network as much as you can. It's really good to have kind of a support network of women who do a similar job. You can kind of share your experiences with each other, and it really has made such a difference. For me, when I worked in subcontracting, there wasn't any women where I worked who worked in the construction department, and I really struggled, whereas when I moved to my current employers, I had female managers, female mentors, and it makes such a difference to have those female role models there. And I think it's really important when you are looking at career choices in terms of companies, look at how many women they have, because it just makes such a difference. And it's also important to be really persistent and resilient within this industry. There's stereotypes for women anywhere, unfortunately it's up to us to break them. It is a very challenging industry, but as I mentioned previously, it's a very rewarding one at the same time. So I haven't got much more to say. I'm going to be here at the end throughout if anyone has any further questions or anything. But yeah, thank you all for listening. That was great, thank you very much.
Okay. Over to me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mahleen and I work as a graduate applications engineer at Control Systems. It's a automation company in Sheffield, and I don't have any slides, apologies for that. Thank you everyone for attending. So I did my master's from Sheffield Hallam University. I started in 2020 January, and which was most of the COVID, so my degree was mostly online. And then I did a placement in 2021. It was a company, GWE, which is also in Sheffield. It was more related to manufacturing and power electronics and different kind of manufacturing basically. But I found out that that's not something I want to do. So, and after my placement, I secured this job as a graduate applications engineer at Control Systems. And my role basically is I work as an automation engineer, which is a very versatile field. So every project is a project-based role. So every project I do so sometimes has a different language, a different software, a different platform. So it's a constant learning for me, constant learning experience for me. So my journey has been constant learning as well. So during my bachelor's year, I had 3 summers, and every summer I tried to do an internship to learn about. So when I graduate, I do not have only a degree in my hands. I have some experience at the end. So that's why I did a placement. I tried to do internships during my bachelor's year. So when I graduated, as soon as I graduated with my placement, I secured this graduate role, and it's very rewarding and very good learning experience for me. And so currently, what I do on a day-to-day basis, basically. So I started off with Allen Bradley and different Rockwell Automation PLCs, and now moved on to Siemens, and so it's a constant learning. And now I'm working on a project that involves C++, that involves Python, that involves a different software that I've never worked on. So I think so why this industry is very good for everyone. I think it's because it's constant learning. The softwares I'm working on now, I won't be working on them after 5 years, after 10 years. They will be constantly evolving. They will be constantly improving. Like for example, senior engineers in my office, they're working on some of the softwares 4 years ago, and now that's completely different to them when they're working on it now. So I think if you are someone who likes to get into a job that is different and that it has different challenges every day, and that is constant learning, and that is constantly involving into different technology, because it's something that's constantly changing, it's something that's constantly improving, it's something that will have different languages, different software, different platforms after 10 years, after 5 years. So I think it's a great experience for you if you want something, if you want a job that you want to learn constantly and improve constantly. And I think that's all really. So for the challenges as a female in a male-dominated field, so I'm the only engineer in my office, female engineer. And when I go to sites in different places for commissioning or for testing or for anything, I'm the only female. So I think I've only faced more favors, and I've only faced more and more kindness, more and more help, and more supervision, and more care as being a female engineer. I think males are becoming more and more aware of the fact that we're trying to get into a field that is not a usual choice for us, and that is something unusual for us to do. So I think it's a very good field, and it's a very good opportunity for us as females, so we can prove that we want to, so we can do anything we want to. So I think some people still react to like, oh, you're female, you're an engineer. So I think we're trying to get there, and we will get there. So I think it's a very great field for you if you want to constantly learn and constantly improve. So my job and so what I want to do is I'm automation engineer. So I think after a few years I want to be in a position where I can lead some or teach some female engineers and help them to learn their and help them learn the way I want it to be learned and taught. So I think so yeah, that's it. I think that's from my side, and I work as in controls is company in Chesterfield. So if you have any questions related to technical questions mostly, I would appreciate. So if you have any technical questions or any questions related to my company or my degree or my previous experience, I'll be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So our next speaker. Oh, thank you.
Hi. So I'm not employed at the moment. In fact, I retired a number of years ago. But I was a mechanic and didn't start being a mechanic until I was about 30 odd. And then I trained in a very old system that isn't now, called a TOPS course. And then I worked in a garage, a women-only garage called Grenda's Garage. And then I went and worked in the AA as a roadside patrol. Then I went and taught at Sheffield College. Then I set up a project called Women in Engineering, a Women's Construction Centre, which got a lot of money from the European market, but of course we haven't got that now, so it had to die. And now I'm working with my colleague Anna over here, who's going to go on the panel because I have to leave, for West, which is our t-shirt. And what we do is, how do I work these things? They didn't happen when I was teaching.
So, take across to your slide.
Okay. So, West was set up in 2010 after two women one of them who worked at Sheffield Hallam, so we've had a very close relationship with Sheffield Hallam. Roswell died, and then Annette died a few years later of cancer. And they were both mechanics, and they were both passionate about training women in engineering and science and technology. So, early pioneers and people that we miss sadly. And what we do as a charity is we advance the education of women and girls in subjects of science, engineering and technology, the built environment, and with particular focus on the craft and trade skills, so that young women can pursue non-traditional trades in these areas. I'm not going to read it for you because you can all read. But basically we're a charity, and we go and we promote women in engineering, science and technology. Why? Because traditionally there is a hostile environment, on and off site, a lot of prejudice, and not really child-friendly hours. Job sharing still a bit like, when I was in the AA, I said I was fostering, and I said I wanted to foster, and I said, could I job share? And he said, no, forget it, leave or stay in or out. You know, it was not a thing. It is changing, but we need to keep putting pressure. Women make up 16.5% of all engineers, but only 1.5% of tradeswomen. So we've got a huge path to travel. Each year we have a film night, which is usually in November, because we give out annual bursaries, and some of you at Sheffield Hallam may be interested. We give out 10 bursaries to women who are training in engineering, all sorts of engineering, the built environment, whatever. We give out 10 bursaries. They're only a small amount of money, it's about £150. But the idea is that we say, it's a pat on the back, well done, you can do it. You can do it, and that's what we want to keep you in. So it's usually to second or third year students. And then we also give out 10 bursaries to tradeswomen, again £150. So for example, this is a young woman that we gave a bursary to, Alicia, and she said, I love practical skills and want to go to university to use the skills I'm learning and be a surveyor or something like that. So it may be people that are starting at a different level, a different point, going to do a trade. And that's Alicia actually in Sheffield College doing her brickworking skills, which are really crucial. Somebody in construction will recognise it. It's really good to have that basic skills knowledge. So those are the sorts of bursaries we give out. Then the other thing we do is we go into schools and we, with a role model, and this is, we've produced 2 books, and this is the one for Key Stage 1, and it's about women, and it's a little activity book based on the lives of all women that work in Sheffield in trade. So it says here, it's a sticker book as well. So it says, discover Suzanne, who's a plasterer in Sheffield, what's she making, and it's a little activity trail book. So we go into schools with role models, depending on our funding, how often we go in, but at the moment we're going in. And then this one is for Key Stage 2. And again, this one was done mainly with students from Sheffield Hallam, engineering students, different engineering students. So for example, there's Aisha, who's a power grid engineer, looks after electricity cables. And again, there's a little activity book. And when we go into schools, every child gets a copy of one of the books. So they can take it home, hopefully influence their parents as well, because it's not just the children that need influence. How many parents say, oh, you know, you can go into a call centre or whatever. No, you can actually aim higher than that, you know. So every child gets a copy of the book. Then we do go into schools as well, secondary schools. That's how we work with primary schools. We work with female role models, and every child receives a copy of one of our books. And then that's just some pictures of us working. We usually do an activity with them. So this is one doing something with an aeroplane, or aeronautics. This one is doing something with straws to make a structure. So we always do an activity as well as have a role model. And then we've got, for secondary schools, we've got a poster campaign, and we launched this, it was during COVID. So a lot of the time it was actually done remotely during COVID. Going to an assembly, we've got 8 posters, laminated posters, and each school gets a copy of these, their big laminated posters of a local role model. And we're now actually, from this year, we're delivering in reality with a role model, with the posters. So they get the posters, they're put up in the school beforehand, and then we come in and say, hey, have you seen the posters? You know, what do you think of them? And then we have a bit of a discussion. So these are the posters. There's Aisha there, Gemma, and Audrey. I think there are 8 posters altogether, different engineers and tradeswomen. And then we're just launching, and in fact, we were supposed to be launching it tomorrow, but teachers are on strike, and we want to attract students and we want to attract teachers. We've got 8 videos that we've made, and what we found is that when we Googled looking for materials to go into schools about women doing trades and doing engineering, what we found was that they were all American. There was very little information and videos and nice clips and things of women training in trades and non-traditional skills and engineers in the UK. Some more engineers depicted, but certainly not tradeswomen. So we decided that we would make some videos. So we made 8 videos: a plumber, an engineer, an aircraft engineer, a painter and decorator. They're 3 minutes, and the idea is that they're going to be launched onto YouTube, and we're having a digital marketeer because we are too old to do it. And we're going to get them onto TikTok and Instagram and all those platforms which young people watch, which we were just still on the paperwork all the way around. So, and it was going to be, as I said, tomorrow, on Wednesday, but in actual fact we've delayed it till April. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that you will get invites to our video launch. So we've got the decision to make up to 10 videos. I think we've made 8 videos so far, which we're going to launch. And we've had a female filmmaker do them as well, which has been nice because filmmaking is still often a male role. So we've had a woman called Rowena who will introduce them. So we would love you all to come to our video launch in April. So she's made the films: a firefighter, painter and decorator, tea surgeon, tree surgeon, electrician, plumbing and heating engineer, digger, truck driver, aircraft technician and a builder. So we want to make sure that girls they may go on to university, but they can also start somewhere else. Because a lot of girls do not know what they want to do when they leave school. I have not a clue, right? And we want to show them that they can do it. And they'll be available for schools and careers advisors through the West YouTube channel and through the West website. So that's kind of West, and all I can say is keep going, keep challenging people, find your female role model, and keep at it, and I'm sure you'll all achieve. And I'm going to leave just here, I have got some little flyers, so you can have a look on our website, and you'll find out other information about it. And if anybody, if you've got little children or little brothers and sisters and would like books, then let us know. Go onto our website and you can contact us. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks for sharing those school resources, Ros. It's just reminded me, just let you all know that there are quite a varied amount of different resources at the back as well, which you can help yourselves to afterwards or if you're networking on before you leave, and I will add those West resources there too. Okay, next up is Anne, please. Thank you.
Hiya. So I'm just going to give you a brief history of how I got to where I am and my career. I started off as an electronics and electrical engineer when I first left school, which was the mid-90s. And because of various reasons, I left that profession, and I think if I'd had the role models at the time and I was with the right company, I probably would have still been in that profession to this date. But I ended up going back to university and doing a building surveying degree at Northumbria University. Loved being a student. I would quite happily go back 20 years and do that again. So I graduated in 2005, and then I became chartered 2 years later. And after a few years' experience, and with the company that I worked for at that time, they had pushed for building surveyors to do a dual role of project management and building surveying. I am aware that there's a lot of the larger companies don't like surveyors and project managers doing simultaneous roles and keep them very separate, but I was right place, right time is what I think. So I have no regrets whatsoever about going into this industry. It has given me an amazing, varied work life. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly gaining new skills. And my personal focus as a building surveyor is commercial sector. So building surveying is put into sectors. You either charter as a residential surveyor, a general management surveyor, or commercial surveyor. I went into commercial, and that focus is on new build and refurbishment of hotels, offices, retail, and my preferred sector, which is healthcare. And those jobs currently consist of, on the healthcare side, which is residential care homes. So we're building a new £7 million care home, which is a 66 bed, which is my project management skills. And on the same site, we have a manor house refurbishment conversion into apartments, which is my building surveying skills. And then one of my other sites is a pharmaceutical research facility, and that is the research Parkinson's, MS and other neurological diseases. And the team that I'm working with there are amazing, from process engineers to scientists to the specialist contractor. And I particularly like healthcare because I feel at the end of the job, I know that facility is going to do some good work. And I've worked in other areas where at the end you go, yeah, we've completed it, or it's a shell for a shop. Do you know what I mean? It's okay, but it's not exciting. A few of the highlights that I would say in my career is, as a young surveyor, I was given the opportunity to go to Germany and do some acquisition surveys. So basically for 3 or 4 days at a time with another surveyor who was a friend, we used to drive around Germany, get to go to loads of random places, into areas where you would never, tourists would never normally go, and just have a great time and a bit of an exploration. I've managed to work in Spain, Amsterdam, Dublin, went to Ghana, we built, worked with some engineers in Ghana. So it's, what I would say is, if you get a career in the construction industry or engineering, there's the opportunity there to have such a varied work life that I would say treated it as a bit of an exploration. Now, I'm not going to say it hasn't been hard. When I went to university, there was one other female on the course, so it was male dominated. And then when I started, my first company I started at, I was the only professional female in a company of 50 other male surveyors, and there was what they called banter, which has got better over the years, and I have come across what used to be, I would term it as the old boys club. That sort of, that it is dominating in the construction industry, but that is massively disappearing. The female numbers in the workplace has hugely increased, and I would say even over the last 2 years I have seen loads more females on site in the workplace. Even a couple of months ago, it was the first time I'd ever been to a project meeting and the women outnumbered the men in the meeting. There was 2 men and there was 7 women, and that consisted of architects, engineers, structural engineer. The real estate agent was there, and the only males that were there it was the mechanical engineer and the client. And I would say what I've seen is the lowest female numbers have been in the mechanical engineering side. That's still more highly dominated from the males. Like the males dominate that area. Architecture, there's loads of women in the industry, and that's great. And I love my job, but I do have self-doubt, I do have imposter syndrome, and I've repeatedly got to tell myself, no, I have as much experience as the next person, and I've worked hard to be where I am, and just speak up, speak a little bit louder, have conviction in what you say, and just enjoy what you're doing. And everybody makes mistakes, everybody will say something stupid, everybody will ask a stupid question, and sometimes when you do it, you totally focus on that you've said something stupid, but everybody does it. And there's a lot of, like we're talking about women in the industry, and I would say 99% of the men in the industry are amazing. They treat you with respect, they help you, they give you more assistance. But there's maybe 1%, but you get that in any industry, any workplace. That's construction, that's anything out there. There's always going to be, whether it be a male or female, there's always going to be somebody who you don't get along with or is not very respectful, and that's just the world we live in. Now at the minute, I am at Small Practice, which is a project management, building surveying and quantity surveying practice, and I'm a director there. And that in itself, there's only 7 of us, presents a challenge because we've got to do the day job, project management, building surveying, then marketing, then finance, then HR, then trying to get work, and that trying to do all of that and get a social life and personal life balance can be really difficult. but I also love the freedom that owning a business gives you. And I want to have a company build a company that makes a really inclusive environment, an open, pretty chilled environment that people can talk and have open discussions. But in order for the workplace to have a balanced, inclusive body, we can't do that unless the numbers at university increase and the numbers at college increase. So it's sort of, we can only do so much, and I have had so many experiences where we put an advert out and there's literally no females apply for the role, or you get 20 applications and one's a female. So trying to employ females in a position is really difficult when you don't even get applications in, so we really need to increase the numbers at this level, at college level, at school level. And just a bit of advice, which was mentioned earlier, is networking is a huge thing. I would say as a student, as a graduate, you need to network with your peers, with other people in the industry as early as possible. That will give you, an environment where you meet like-minded people who are on the same path, who are also going to be in the same position as you go through your career. And you've got to remember, the graduates now, in years to come, 10 to 15 years, they're going to be the associates, the directors, the business owners. So that will give you the most organic, natural growth in your career path by working alongside other people. And also, at the beginning of your career, you've got to focus on getting the experience to do a good job and be really good at your profession. For me, that just meant putting in the hours and trying to get on as many varied different projects as possible. Then there's obtaining the required professional membership. For me as a surveyor, that was the RICS. That might be a different body, depending whether you're an engineer or an architect. That, in terms of what that done for me, I automatically got a massive pay rise, which after being a student for years, came in very handy, let me tell you. It allowed me to say, no, I want to work on that type of job, I want to do that type of job. It opens up the world so much more when you have a professional qualification and you're a member of a professional body. And they just build your network. It doesn't have, I'm not talking about, you don't have to go out and talk to people who you don't really like and don't get along with. Just network as in get a friendship group that you're going to have struggles in your career and you want to be able to bounce that ideas and struggles off other people who are out there. And just being able to talk about that is a really good thing, because your family and your friends who are not in the industry, you start talking technical problems, they just sometimes can't relate, so being able to speak to another person in the profession can be really beneficial. And honestly, I hope that one day we don't need a woman in engineering or construction event. It needs to be the norm, and it needs to be at a point where a young girl or female who likes physics, maths, geography, engineering can just say, yeah, that's a normal profession, that's what I want to go into. And I hope that in 10 years' time, the women in engineering is more of a support network than trying to push people and increase those numbers, and that's what it should be in years to come. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. Just copying down your quote there, that we hope that one day we don't need this type of event to sort of raise awareness and to get more females into the industry, but more like say more for networking. Let's hope that keep that as our aim. Fantastic, thank you very much. And we are now hearing from Magdalena.
So let's say I also started my career here at Sheffield Hallam University, just like you. I used to study chemical engineering, and normally after second year we seek placement or internship like different companies, but I was studying during COVID time, so it was a bit difficult time, especially that many companies canceled the placements and internships, so I was super lucky to actually secure my summer internship with OGC Energy, and this is the company where I still currently work at. So basically, I started in the summer working with them, and then I continued throughout the final year of my study. So basically, third year at university, I was working still part-time, which was actually great because I was not only gaining this academic skills, but I was also working as an engineer already. So, and then soon after my graduation back in May 2021, I already had like my full-time role secured as an integrity engineer, which is more related, I would say, to mechanical engineer, but because chemical engineer is so versatile, I could like easily transition toward more like mechanical engineering tasks. So here I'm just going to outline quickly what my company does in general. So it's a small engineering consultancy based here in Sheffield, and what we mostly do, we give like advice for like main, I would say, leaders in energy industry, advice related to materials, corrosion, and also asset integrity management. So normally we work with big companies, just as you can see, like BP, Shell, Total Energies, Baker Hayes. So I would say we normally tend to provide independent technical advice to them and support them, even sometimes when we have, for example, like shortage when it comes to like technical knowledge. So as you can see, so far we completed over 400 projects, and we worked for companies which were localized in over like 50 different countries. So it's like very versatile work environment. So here in general, my role as an integrity engineer revolves mainly around reassuring our clients that their assets are working safely and they are reliable. So, for example, if clients comes to me and tell me I have like project in commissioning stage, I will do for them like risk assessment, usually like corrosion risk assessment, check what are their like operating conditions, what service, and then I'm going to tell them, okay, so you can use this and this material, you need to use, for example, coating like that, cathodic protection, and based on that, I collate all this data, and I'm telling them, for example, okay, you want to design a huge like pipeline, let's say in Nigeria, this is my recent project, with that and that size, so you need to use this and that, and you need to protect it in such way, and this way you can operate it for the next 30 years. Sometimes clients already have like existing asset which, let's say, operates for 20 years, and they are saying like, okay, our inspection plan is not very effective, we had some failures. So for example, I help them either to create new inspection plan or optimize the existing one, which normally helps them, I would say, to save a lot of money and obviously keep everything safe. And I normally recommend an implementation of risk-based assessment, risk-based inspection. And this type of like of safety like assessment helps them to optimize it because it's based on like, we basically help them to pick the right intervals for different types of inspections. And this way, for example, they don't inspect everything every 10 years, which is not very safe. Let's say this part they're gonna inspect every 2 years, other part they can focus like and inspect every like 15 years. That saves a lot of like workforce, time and money. And sometimes client comes with asset which like comes to an end of the design line, like let's say they operated for 25 years, so they are asking, we still want to operate it for another 20, is it possible? So then we run different simulation and calculation and check for them if it's still safety to operate it at the same conditions, or maybe it needs to be like derated, so like the pressure needs to be lowered, and this way we still help them to generate the profit using the same asset. So this is more or less like I try to outline here what I was doing, and here you can see some, I would say, one of my, I would say, biggest project I worked so far for companies will be soon 3 years. So here you can see basically a photo of a big gas terminal, Bacton near Norwich. It's one of the biggest like entry and exit points on the UK network. So basically for them, we managed to optimize that inspection plan. So we had to go through data for 2,000 lines. They had 150 pressure vessels. and they had some gaps in inspection records, which means basically that things should be inspected, but they weren't. So things could blow up as well. So, but anyway, we managed to sort out with them everything within, I would say, 9 months. We carried out different corrosion assessment, risk assessments. We identified what damage mechanisms are potential ones, so on what areas they should focus. And this way, we helped them basically to save hundreds of £1,000s, I would say, within 9 months. And I think soon this gas terminal will be also converted into, I think, hydrogen site, which is also quite interesting. So yeah. So normally our clients ask us to solve their problems in the fastest, most effective, and the cheapest way, as you can see in the meme. And they would love to be honest. The less they can do, the better for them. But obviously, normally it's not possible. We need to make sure that everything is safe, and this is what we try to outline to them. So I think that's it. I think for today. If you have any questions, just don't hesitate to approach me and ask me anything. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so on to our speaker.
I'm sorry, I've got to go. I'm sorry to miss it. Thank you. I'm leaving Anne and my colleague.
Yeah. So first of all, I'll just start with a little bit about who I am. So my name is Stephanie Hollyoak. I grew up in a small town on the north east coast called Lytham St Anne's. I then moved to Chesterfield about 3 years ago. I am a cost manager for Turner & Townsend. With a few hobbies, I do clay pigeon shooting, do painting in my free time, I enjoy travelling. I have a little cat called Winnie, and I'm also a member of the Association of Women in Property, where I am the Chesterfield coordinator, where I set up networking events, CPD events, and things for women in the property and construction industry. So how did I get into the construction industry? So when I was at school, I had no idea what a surveyor was, let alone a quantity surveyor. So like many other people, I chose to do geography degree because it was my favourite subject and it was the subject that I was most good at. So while I was at the University of Leeds doing geography, I actually undertook a placement at a local property firm, and I was actually an environmental consultant doing a placement there, but I shortly decided that that was not the route that I wanted to go down. And at this company, they did actually have a surveying team, so I've got some experience within the surveying industry and shadowed some of the people that were working in the surveying. And that kind of directed me into potentially doing a quantity surveying career. So off the back of this, I started looking at potential jobs in the quantity surveying industry. But a lot of the jobs in this industry do obviously require a quantity surveying degree. And because I was non-cognate with only a geography degree, there were limited options. But I actually did get a job at a company in Leeds with the intention that I would do a 2-year part-time master's quantity surveying degree while I trained as a quantity surveyor. So I did that at the University College of Estate Management part-time, kind of evenings and weekends while I trained up. During the time that I was working there, I actually got made redundant through COVID, so I was kind of stuck with the option of what am I going to do next, and that is when I started at my current role, which is Turner & Townsend, and I've been there ever since. And while I've been there, I started as an assistant cost manager and worked my way up to a cost manager, and I've recently just got chartership before Christmas in December as a member of the RICS, so I passed my APC, and I've now had a promotion since then. So what does Turner & Townsend, my company, do? So Turner & Townsend is a global company. We've got more than 10,000 employees all across the world. We have quite a lot of offices in the UK, so we've got Sheffield, Manchester, Newcastle, Birmingham, lots down south. And we mainly focus in kind of cost management and project management services to our clients in the real estate, infrastructure and natural resources sectors. Our office, like I said, is in Sheffield. We're positioned down in the cathedral, and we've got a lot of key projects going on in Sheffield at the moment, such as the Heart of the City works, the redevelopment of West Bars and Fargate as well. So what does my general working day look like? As a quantity surveyor, it is very varied, and that's what I really enjoy about my role. So one day I might be in the office pulling together procurement documentation, contract documentation, having client meetings. The next day I might be on site, looking at loads of different projects at different phases of construction, conducting valuations. And then I might be attending networking events, hosting networking events with women in construction, and also attending client dinners and client meals that we put on for our clients. So it is really varied. In my office there's probably about 60 people. I'd say about a third of those are seconded out or work in client offices, and majority of them are project managers. In our cost management team we only have about 14 quantity surveyors, and I am the only female in that team. And I think the main advice I would say is don't see it as a hindrance, don't see it as kind of a setback or put you off. For me, I saw it as an opportunity to stand out. I think being the only female in my industry, the only female in my team, clients remember you, they remember you as the only female QS, they want to work with you, and I think the key bit of advice that I would give to you is, just don't see it as a setback, see it as the biggest opportunity you can, as being able to stand out amongst the rest of the people. And yes, that's it. Thank you for listening.
Perfect timing as well, super. Well done. Thank you. Okay, so I think we'll just give all our speakers one last round of applause. Okay, so thank you for coming today. It's not over, as we're still networking and pizza has arrived downstairs. So there's a couple more things just to sort of show you. We will literally keep you for a couple more minutes. So why have we sort of organised and put on this event today? I'm just going to play you a very short video. I think it's just over a minute, which sort of really helps answer this question. 20 seconds. Sound.
Favorite restaurant in your choice for me?
My name's Tamsin and I'm a surgeon in the NHS.
My name's Lauren and I'm a pilot in the Royal Air Force.
My name's Lucy, I'm a firefighter in the London Fire Brigade.
Go back to the slides. Okay, so I know that was a charity who have done some research into, asking children to draw their future, what kind of jobs do they see themselves in. And I know that was showing you, what their thoughts are at primary school level, but as we heard from some of our speakers today, that's where we need to start changing the thoughts and the views and the aspirations of young females, and obviously feeding that all the way up into where you want today, going out into that workforce. Okay. And also these sort of quite, scary statistics that we heard from Ros before she left, but around 11% of the construction, around 16.5% of all engineers are female, but that was only 1.5% of tradespeople. And then within the construction workforce, that's 11% again, with only 2.5 being tradespeople within those statistics. So, we really want to run events like this, help you sort of network with influential individuals, fantastic role models, so we can really try and get those percentages higher. That is great.
So we're going to move on to
to a time of open time of questions for our panel. I can ask Nadine and Nicola to join. So if you've got a question for the panel, do put your hand up and share, or alternatively, you can visit menti.com, type in that code, pop your question in on your phone. This is your chance to find out a bit more and to ask the things that you'd like to know. So I'll give you a few minutes to think of your question or ask. Thank you.
So there will be another rest of the
Yes, Leah.
Just want to give you right. Is it you say that it was in manufacturing?
No, it was electrical and electronics engineering.
Sorry, what?
Electrical and electronics
I
engineering.
see. Then you went to control.
So my bachelor's was the same. I did electrical engineering and my major was electronics. And then I did a master's straight after my bachelor's. It was electrical and electronics engineering. And now I'm working as automation engineer. But different, but it's all the same.
And we see that as a really popular course at Hallam at the moment, the automation and control course. So that's great to have your perspective shared. Yes, please.
Yes, I just wanted to ask how you actually supported women or girls or ladies in the industry, what about placement opportunities in engineering sector, construction sector? Like, in what aspects have you been supportive?
Has there been opportunities in your organisation to take students on placement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not in Turner Townsend. We do have apprenticeships, we have placement opportunities as well to become quantity surveyors and project managers in the Sheffield office and in all of the offices around the UK as well. We do have opportunities.
Same with my company, obviously energy. Even last week or 2 weeks ago, we came here to Korea, and just like me, I started as a summer intern. So we offer summer internship, and usually that can evolve into like longer internship, like 1 year later. Just depends from case to case basically. But there are different opportunities, and our office is also basically in Sheffield city center. So we have LinkedIn, our website, so just don't hesitate. Like anybody can basically drop us a CV, cover letter, and we consider all applications.
They do hire graduates every year, and they're trying to make their team bigger every year. So they're trying. I think they hired 5 more engineers last year, and they're still looking for more graduates because the automation industry is increasing, and they're getting more and more projects. The turnover is increasing. So there are opportunities. So if you go into LinkedIn, find us on LinkedIn, go to add them and just ask for opportunities.
I think the question was around, is there anything specific you do to support females in your industry as well? I think Becky mentioned about the networking.
Yeah, so obviously I'm a member of the Association of Women in Property, so we put on networking events specifically for women, but also males are able to attend as well. It's just to really promote everybody in the industry, get together, kind of network, grow with each other, like Anna was saying, you know, really supporting each other at kind of early stages and working all the way through. And from that, you know, there's job opportunities, there's immediate clients, so yeah, that's really key.
Yeah, I mean, so we're the same as I'm based in Leeds, and there's the Association of Women in Leeds, there's a group called NARIC, which is another construction industry group for women. There are not women-specific groups, but women mentors. So there's a couple of women that are working across different companies around Leeds where we try and actively promote women joining the company. But like I said before, it depends how many applications you get. And then there are other things like Inspire Ambassadors, which is in Yorkshire, which is going into the schools to speak to young girls on about the engineering. But it's just, if you meet another female on a networking event, it's trying to get a common ground and trying to create your own network. And you just try to be a bit of a mentor where you can be.
Just by coming to something like this, you're inspiring others and to follow. Fantastic. think we'll encourage you to ask questions individually when we do our networking in a few moments, networking and refreshments as well. And so one thing we really wanted to do about today's event was to kind of prove, you know, if it's been useful and how you found it, because we need to show the university that students like yourself want events like this and want to repeat it again. So this survey is one you just complete on your phones. If you could just grab your phones now, log on to menti.com, pop in that code, and then just type how you feel about each of those points. It's fine to be absolutely honest, it's all anonymous. We encourage all guests, even staff members as well, to complete that, just so we get that snapshot of how you felt about today. So thanks so much for that. That code's a little bit small at the top. It's menti.com 26892564. For our speakers, do take this as a massive thank you and a well done. That you're just getting massive agreement scores there on all those points. That we've inspired others, been informative. That's really good to see, especially if you're inspired, because that's the hard thing to do. It's so important. I've got one final question that will come up on your phones now, just to give you an opportunity to type in any comments and to type in what we've learned. So you can just continue to do that in the background while we share the final slides for today. So we've got some other very special guests here today. So we've got our fantastic Women's Engineering Society in the middle there. Do you want to give a wave? Newly formed society. So they've got their poster at the back. So do come and have a chat with them about what they're up to and do get involved with them. Spoken to people from all courses, just if someone that's got that interest. And we've got our shoe game changers as well. Where are our game changers?
Fantastic.
So come and have a chat with Game Changers as well. It's about women in sport. Yes. Women in sport. So they're hopefully getting some inspiration from the session today. For all of you, we've got some exciting events and opportunities coming up that we'd encourage you to take advantage of. So on the 30th of March is our Spring Careers Fair. We've got over 70 employers coming along, including a substantial number from the built environment area and from engineering as well. So it's your chance to meet employers in person, to get insight into their roles, to present your CV, and connect with future opportunities. You can sign up for that on Handshake now, but do come along and do kind of prepare by looking in advance at the employers that are coming. And I'd also encourage you to make use of all the support here from the Careers Service. If you're feeling like you're struggling with something, if you're wanting to improve your CV or practice for interviews, do book an appointment. That is what we are here for. And the QR code here is for our speaker guests and our professional guests here today. We have a career mentoring programme where we encourage our role models to connect with students and spend time getting to know them and supporting them. And we'd love to welcome you all as mentors in the future. I think we'll share that after today.
I think that's for the students actually, Caroline. I think that's if you like to apply to have a mentor. So students
my apologies.
Use that
So
as
if
part
you'd
of
like to apply to have a mentor, you can scan the QR code there. We've got mentors from across a wide range of different industries. And that is our closing. So, yeah.
It's going to be virtual job fair as well. Is this still happening on 24th?
We've not got one planned through the university. Virtual job fair on the 24th.
No, the Spring Careers Fair is on campus, yeah.
Well,
Just to add to that as well, the majority of engineering and built environment employees are going to be in the Owen building on the level 2 atrium. Just FYI, yeah, we're hoping to have about 100 employers. It might be something department specific you might be referring to, but.
Constantly, if you may, it would be brave enough to come here. Just want to say I approach you bravery, your courage, your determination, your success. I must say, I enjoyed it, and it's always been lucky enough to have a time inspired and very useful. Please give a round of applause.